Hi, my name is Jasmine Jeffery, and now we will review the assessment findings from the Melting Pot survey. Before I give you 4 of the important key findings that I found within my results, I wanted to give you some background information. The Melting Pot survey was distributed to the BDS Engineering Account Department. Inside of that department, there are 18 employees. Within those 18 employees, there are 4 different cultural backgrounds that each employee has. American, African American, Latino, and Asian. I really wanted to name my survey the Melting Pot survey due to that fact alone, that no one person in this department comes from one cultural background. This was important to me because each of us needs to understand how to communicate with each other from different cultural backgrounds. With that being said, only 17 surveys were received. One employee, unfortunately, was out of office, which hints to 17 surveys being received. So now let's review the 4 findings that I thought were super important that I wanted to implement into my training. For the first question I would like to highlight that stood out to me can be identified as question number 3. This question reads, I tend to prefer direct verbal interactions with my coworkers and supervisors. The reason why this question stood out to me is because all of the employees identified in this department tend to communicate via technology using applications such as Teams, Outlook, Monday.com. So to consider that these employees will rather have direct verbal interactions identifies that they're wanting to learn and they're wanting to be engageful with their employees with different backgrounds. Because this was a Likert scale question, the responses varied on strongly disagree, disagree, neither agree nor disagree, agree, and strongly agree. With that being said, majority of respondents did identify that they either agree or strongly agree. There were 35% of employees that just agreed and 47% of employees that strongly agreed. There were 11% of employees that neither agreed nor disagreed and were neutrally inclined or not inclined to provide their level of agreement with that question. One of the things that I want to spotlight in this assignment is how can we promote more direct and verbal interactions where employees do feel comfortable and able to communicate their needs, their questions with employees. This is important to me because as a manager, I would like to make sure that my employees are demonstrating what they want to do instead of what they feel is better. The second question that stood out to me can be identified as question 6. I feel my department promotes a healthy work environment for individuals from different backgrounds. This question may seem like a home run, but it is not, which hints to me wanting to spotlight it. There were 42% of employees that agree to the question that they do feel that they have a healthy work environment, and 23% that strongly agree as well. However, there were 23% of employees and 11% of employees that neither disagreed or agreed or absolutely disagreed completely. This question throws up a red flag for me simply because our work environment should be inclusive and it should be healthy. I would like to indicate and find a solution to why these employees feel the way that they feel. It's also an opportunity for growth for the 23% of employees that neither agreed or agreed. It's an opportunity to figure out what they're missing and what they're needing for them to feel like they are working in a healthy environment with being from different cultural backgrounds. The third question that stood out to me can be identified as question 7. Reading, I believe to communicate effectively, individuals must have common backgrounds. This was a tricky question. I decided to put this into my questionnaire simply to figure out if employees were reading the question where that they understood exactly what the question was asking, and also to gauge on if they feel like to communicate to the best of their ability, they have to communicate with someone with a similar background than them. So with that being said, 59% of employees disagreed that you do not have to have a common background to communicate effectively. However, what sparked my attention was the individuals that strongly agreed and neither disagreed or agreed. So, with that being said, 11% of employees believe that they neither agreed nor disagreed. That means there is an opportunity for growth in this area to figure out why they didn't agree or disagree. Is it something that we're lacking? Is it because they just don't know? Is it because they did not take the questionnaire seriously? This is important simply because the way we relay information inside of this department is critical to how we perform in our job. So, considering that there's 4 different type of cultural backgrounds from out of 18 employees, there's going to be some ratio where it's going to be harder to comprehend or to communicate knowledge or information to a coworker. So I would like to figure out where that red line is and how we can fix that in this training development program that I will be creating. Also, for the individuals that identified that they strongly agreed to this question, that you need to have common backgrounds, that throws up a red flag for me as well, simply out of interest. Why does that or those employees feel that way? Is it because they are uncomfortable? Is it because, they're not satisfied within this department? Maybe people aren't being understanding, or maybe they feel like they're being discriminated simply because of their culture. So I would like to find a solution to that as well. The last keynote I would like to highlight within my results will be identified as question 12. Reading, my department makes everyone feel included regardless of their cultural background. After reviewing the results, there were 52% of employees that do agree that they feel that they're included regardless of their cultural background. However, there are 11% of employees that disagree completely, that they do not feel included. I would like to find a solution to why that is. Why do you or those employees feel like they are not included in this department? There were also 17% of employees who neither agreed nor disagreed. I would like to figure out why they felt less inclined to state their response of inclusiveness. As a manager, I would like to figure out how I can develop employee inclusion where every employee feels like they are being appreciated and supported within the comments that they do make. That will wrap up my needs assessment findings. Hopefully these 4 highlighted points and questions will provide you with additional information as you are reviewing my needs assessment findings tab.